Alright guys, so we're going to need alerts in this application. So I'd like to just get everything over with now, including the alert context, all the state, the reducer, and the component itself. So let's jump in and let's just close this stuff up for now. And inside context, we're going to have a third folder. In addition to auth and contact, we're going to create a folder called alert. Okay, so this will be our alert context. So let's create a file called uppercase A alert state.js. And let's create alert context. And of course our reducer. And it's not going to be a lot. It's going to be much shorter than, much shorter pages than the other things, except the context, which is pretty much the same for all. We're just initializing it. So I'll just copy, for instance, auth context and just change it to alert context. And then for our state, alert state, I guess we could copy our auth state for now. So alert state, we'll paste that in, and we want to bring in alert context. I know this is kind of repetitive. And let's select these and say alert. So we want our alert context, alert reducer. The only two types that we need to bring in is set alert and remove alert. Okay, and we'll change this to alert state. And the initial state, if you remember from the GitHub project, we used the object as the state, and the object would have a message and a type, right? Well, now we're going to do kind of the same thing, but it's going to be an array of alerts instead of a single object. It'll be an array of objects, alert objects. So let's pass in here. This is going to be alert reducer. And as far as our methods, we're just going to have a set alert. Our actions, functions, methods. I know I use these interchangeably, but we're going to have a set alert. Okay. In fact, we can just create that now. It's going to be very similar to the one we had before. So let's say const set alert. Now this is going to take in a message and type. Now, one thing we're going to do here, since we're going to have an array of alerts, we need a unique identifier. So I'm actually going to use the UUID package that we installed for that. So let's say import UUID from UUID. And what we'll do is create an ID and set that to uuid.v4, which will just generate a random ID. And then we're going to send a dispatch to our reducer with the type of set alert. And then we want to send a payload, and that payload will be an object with the message, the type, and the ID. Okay, and then I want to have the same functionality that we did with the GitHub project where the alert disappears after a certain amount of time. So let's do a set timeout, and this takes in a function. So we'll use an arrow function, and then we're going to call a dispatch to our reducer, and we're going to do a type of remove alert, and the payload is going to be the ID because we need to know which one to remove. And then the parameter we put here is going to be the time, which I'm going to do 5,000. Okay. And actually, you know what I'm going to do is let's add an optional parameter of timeout and set it to 5,000, and then set this down here to that timeout, just in case you want to pass in a different timeout for a certain alert. Okay, so that's it. That's the only action we need, and we'll take care of these types in our reducer in a second. Let's go down here and just change this to let's say alert. I don't know why the bottom one didn't change. I have auto rename tag, so it should change. Let's see. So the value is just going to be, let's see, we're just going to have alerts, plural, and it's going to be our state, because remember our state is just the entire array is our state, and then we also have a set alert action. Okay, so those are the only two things that we need to provide. And let's change this to alert state. Now in order to use this, we have to bring it into app.js, just like we did the other states or the other contexts. So this is going to be alert slash alert state. Oops. Okay, this will be alert state, and then we're just going to wrap this stuff down here. Say alert state. Put that right. Let's see, where does this go? This goes auth state, contact state, yep, alert state. All right, so now we should have access to the alert state and the set alert action from within any component that we bring it into. Now, in our reducer, our alert reducer, this is going to be pretty simple. We're just going to import our set alert and remove alert from what are these /types. Okay, and then we want to export default, and this takes in state and action. Okay, we're going to run a switch on the action type. Okay, we're going to have a default case, which will just return the state as is. And let's do case set alert. And we want to return any other state we have. Well, actually, no, we're not going to do it that way because we're returning the array directly, because that's all we have is just an array. So let's say any state inside the array, so any other alerts, and then the action.payload, which is the alert that gets sent. Okay, so we have that, and then let's do the remove, so case remove alert, and that's going to return, and then we're going to filter out the correct alert. So, and that's going to be by ID. So let's say return state dot, and then we're going to filter through and say for each alert, let's check the alert dot ID, and if it's not equal to the action dot payload, because when we remove an alert, we just send the ID. As you can see right here, the payload is the ID, and that's what we're comparing here, so we can filter that out. And that's going to happen after 5 seconds or whatever is in this parameter. All right, so that should be all set. Now we need a component to output the alert. So I'm going to go into components layout and create a new file called alert. Yeah, we'll call it let's call it alerts.js. All right, so this is going to be functional component, and we want to bring in the alert context. So alert, oops, I don't know why it's doing that. Port alert context from // context, and we want to go into the alert folder and then alert context. And then we're going to initialize it here. Set that to use context and pass in alert context. And let's bring in that hook. I always seem to forget that. Okay, so now we have the alert context, and what we want to do is check to see if there's any alerts in the array. So in this return here, let's just do, we'll get rid of this div, and we're going to say alert context.alerts.length. And if that is greater than 0, then let's take alert context.alerts.map, and let's map through them. So for each alert, we're going to output a div, and we need to add a key to this div. So let's say key equals, and we're going to use alert.id for the key, and let's give this a class name. Now the class name is going to be dynamic according to the type. Remember, there's like danger, success, and all that. So we're going to use backticks, and we're going to say alert, and then alert dash, and then whatever the type is. So we can say alert.type. All right, and then I'm going to have an icon in here, which is going to be FAS FA-info-circle. And then next to that, we're going to have the message, so alert.msg. Okay, so it's just going to look at the alerts in the context in our state. If there is anything, then it's going to loop through them, and it's going to output this this HTML or this JSX. Okay, so let's save that, and then we want to output this in our app.js, in our main app.js file. So let's bring in, from components layout, we want alerts. Let's say alerts, and we're going to put this right in the container, right above the switch. Okay. Cannot find alerts.js. Let's see. Oh, I put a lowercase a here. All right, so we should be all set. Now, whenever we want to put out an alert, we need to bring in that context and call that set alert method. So let's do it in the register where we have to match the passwords, right? So the password should equal password2 when we submit. So let's bring in, into our register, let's bring in the alert context. And I know this is repetitive. You know what I'll do is just copy this from the alert component and paste that into register. We can close up the reducer and state and all that. And then we need to initialize it just like we did here in register. So we'll do that right here. All right, and then I'm going to pull out set alert from the context. So set alert from alert context, and then let's go down to our submit, and let's just do a quick validation here. Yeah, we'll put an if statement, and let's just say if name is equal to nothing or email is equal to nothing or password is equal to nothing, then let's set an alert. So we simply call set alert, and we pass in our message. We'll just say please enter all fields, and then let's set the type as danger. Okay, and then let's do an else if, and I want to check to see if the passwords match. So we'll say if password is not equal to password2, then let's set another alert, and we'll say passwords do not match. And then I'll just put an else and move this into the else. Okay, and we got to make sure we bring in the use context hook as well. And save. All right, so let's try it out. So we'll go to the register, and let's hit register. Please enter all fields, so our alert works for that. and it should go away. There we go. And if we do a password that doesn't match, we also get it. Now, we also have a rule on the back end that the password has to be at least 6 characters. So let's also add that to our front end. We could do it here, but I think that, I mean, we don't even have to do what we just did with the, please enter all fields. We can simply go to our markup here and we can just add like required. So I just wanted to kind of give you an example of using an alert, but we can do that. In fact, I guess we can just have both lines of defense, I guess. Required. Okay, so name, password, password 2. Okay, now for the password, let's also add a max length. I'm sorry, not a max length, the min length of 6. Okay, we'll put that on this as well. So if I go here now, we're going to get the standard little pop-up here. So it's up to you if you want to use this or if you want to use the alert, whatever you want to do. But password should also have to be 6 characters. Let's just fill this out, whatever. Okay, so it gives us that warning. Good. So I think in the next video, what I want to do is start to make a request to our backend to register a user. We want to make this form work. So we're going to want to send the request. It's going to store the user in the database, and then we're going to get the token back, and we need to store that token in local storage. Okay, so we're going to handle that next.